Hello, this is foodoffensive.com's weekly video update. I've been doing a series on sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, and natural sweeteners, and what's best for us, what we should avoid, things like that. But I'm going to take a break from that for a few videos here and cover some GMO news because there's just so much out there right now. And with the Prop 37 and the new French study that just came out on GMOs, just some really damning evidence and damning research that has come out. So I wanted to cover those things, and this week I'm bringing you just some clips that I've massed over the last few weeks, and I'm going to start with the most recent one since I'm a little bit behind in my videos, and I'm going to bring you some of the most current ones, and then we'll go back and look at some other ones and some of the other things that have come about. And there's just so much on GMOs, and so I want to start putting that back out there, especially with the new Proposition 37 that's coming up and the voting that's going to happen in California for that. So without further ado, here are some clips from the Alex Jones Show, Infowars.com, and talking to Dr. Cory Gold about GMOs, Prop 37, and a lot of things in between. And so I just pulled some clips out just concerning the GMOs. They get into vaccines and pharmaceuticals and things like that also, and the most recent video about the Obama phone lady and all those things going on. But I wanted just to pull out the GMO clips here that are relevant to what I do here on my weekly videos and my YouTube channel here, and also over at foodoffensive.com. So without further ado, here is this week's special report.
Now, I wanted to get him on because I know that he has railed about this on his own popular California syndicated radio show. He's on some of our affiliates, KSCO, and others out there. And he joins us now because he hadn't been on in, I don't know, a month or two, and he's back by popular demand. Dr. Cory Gold has his doctorate in dental surgery from the University of California, San Francisco in '88. He's got a bunch of other degrees in biology and a minor in chemistry. He's got a bachelor in biology and a minor in chemistry from California State University. Fullerton received a bachelor's degree in dental sciences from the University of California, San Francisco. He's the co-founder and president of Java International, a noted product formulator, and it just goes on and on. And he's exposed, been a pioneer exposing what's happening with the families of children with autism, spectrum disorders, and more. I wanted to get him on about the new big French study, but there's a bunch of others showing rats fed Monsanto corn, one type alone, had 70% of them died young. What are the females? 50% of the males. Giant tumors growing, what was it, twice as fast, more tumors. This is what a lot of other studies show. I wanted to get into that with him. I mean, we're really here in a brave new world, and that segues us in to the cancer studies, in the rats. So these aren't the first, but now the Russians are banning GMO corn. The French are going crazy, burning down the crops that have been planted. But here, we're in a giant test tube, Doc, as you know, and we're leading the world in cancer and every other disorder. Break down what you think's really going on here.
Well, some companies in France did studies on the GMO corn by Monsanto. And it showed that over a 2-year period of time, that the rats that had that food source did much more poorly than the rats that had regular corn. In fact, they had a higher rate of cancer and many other things. And so a lot of people start reading those studies and saying, we don't want this. You know, we don't want to eat this food.
Like you can't get Obama phone.
Yeah, you get your Obama phone. But then Monsanto's response was, wait a second, your studies weren't long enough to show any damage. The studies done to show damage were 2 years long. The safety studies were 90 days long. So it's just hilarious. Your studies weren't long enough to show damage. They were 2 years. And the study that said that was safe was 90 days by Monsanto. And by the way,
funded by Monsanto people. They admit on that study at the bottom that it was funded by Monsanto.
Right. So the Russians, you know, you can say what you will about them, but they can read the data and they're like, I don't think we want this. You know, just getting rampant cancer is not something we want to take a risk on. And by the way, I got all 4 of my topics all involve Monsanto. Monsanto today is the #1 donor in the state of California to defeat Proposition 37. Proposition 37 in California says that if GMOs are in foods, it should be on the labels. And $25 million has been spent to defeat this. and only about $1 million to support it because, it's just grassroots. And you look at the supporters, I mean, like, who is supporting this ban? You would think this openness, wasn't Barack Obama supposed to be all about fairness and openness and a more, we're going to all be telling the truth society. Monsanto, $4 million to make sure you don't know that GMOs are in your food in California. DuPont, over $4 million to make sure that you don't know GMOs are in your food in California. Pepsi, BASF.
Obama phone.
Yeah, goes on. Coca-Cola, Nestle, Bayer, Dow, all spending millions of dollars in the state of California to tell you that you shouldn't have the choice to know that GMOs are in your food. They're going to try to convince you with millions of dollars in the state of California that you should not have the right to know if GMOs are in your food. But
none of that matters if I get an Obama phone.
Right.
Back to Dr. Cory Gold. Monsanto and others, what is it, like 20 million now they've spent in California, Monsanto and others together. It's like 19 million a few days ago. Now it's 20 million. 2 weeks ago it was like 16 million. It's growing millions every week to not let you have the food labeled. In Europe now they're restricting getting vitamins. South Korea, you can't get vitamins. I was told this by a guy who lived in South Korea, and I went and looked it up. It's true, unless you go to a pharmacy and get a prescription. They're trying to go after everything now. I mean, these people are killing us. There's no doubt that, look, this isn't an accident. Every major GMO food that gets studied, if it's cross-species, is reducing fertility and has stuff added to it. There's no way it could always be bad. I mean, I'm not even against some genetic manipulation if it's properly tested. There's no way this is an accident, Doc.
Well, I mean, the whole irony of it is we have a president in the office right now who came with hope and change and transparency. And so in California, we said, hey, how about being transparent and just tell us what's in the food? We're not even saying ban it. We're just saying tell us if it's in there. We'll make our own decisions, what to do, like maybe like you do for peanut labeling and other things. You tell us what kind of fats are in food. Just tell us GMOs are there or not, and we'll make a decision ourselves. And they're saying, no, we'll tell you if there's peanuts in the food, but we won't tell you if there's GMO in the foods. And, they're actually paying $25 million. It's up to almost $26 million right now, so that you won't have the ability to make decisions for yourself. You won't have the ability to go look at and say to yourself, I've done the research myself. I don't want that food. I've done the research.
Oh, so the last time I saw was 20 mil. It's now 26 mil?
It's 26 million as of today. And the group supporting it, which is just, average everyday people, they've got $1 million, $1.5 million. And that's just from people like you and I donating $50 a pop. The average donation right now to defeat Proposition 37 is like $600,000. So you're not talking everyday people. Only 44 donations have been made. 44 companies have made donations to defeat Proposition 37. So they're all like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, ConAgra.
Pepsi, when I saw this 2 years ago, I didn't believe that PepsiCo had a division making flavoring out of dead babies in China because they got to do something with them. And it was true. And then they ruled this year that shareholders can't even go to the meeting and demand it be taken out. I mean, it's just, they have suicide nets around the Apple factories in China and have forced abortions on the site. I mean, we're in a science fiction nightmare. And when these so-called liberals get in control, all hell breaks loose because they're not liberals. They're not trying to domesticate us to help us. They want to control us.
Well, your freedom to know what you want to know as long as it's what the government wants you to know. I mean, you would think that the government would say, listen, we want an educated, group of people. You make decisions yourself. We're telling you how much fat's in the food. We're telling you how much carbohydrates in the food. We're going to tell you if there's GMO or not. Well, no, wait a second. You can't know if there's GMO because we'd be afraid that if you knew there was GMO in the food, you would elect not to purchase it. Therefore, you cannot know because we don't want you having a decision not to buy something you don't want. That's what it is. They know that if you know, you'll avoid it. In fact, they say this is the battleground. If California bans or allows GMO labeling on the food, that would wipe out the GMO industry because nobody in California.
It'll be a ban by voting with the dollars.
Right.
It's over. We're just not going to buy their crud anymore.
Right. In Japan right now, it's required. China right now even requires it. France now requires it. But in the United States, they're trying to block you knowing something that's so fundamental.
We are such a joke because we think we're so free, we're becoming totally enslaved.